I predicted this housing crash 6 months ago when everyone called me crazy. Now it's happening exactly like I said it would. These 10 cities are collapsing right now, and if you own property in any of them, you need to watch this entire video because I'm about to show you which markets are imploding, which ones you should avoid at all costs, and most importantly, the 3 hidden gem cities where smart money is moving right now before everyone else catches on. You've probably seen the headlines: inventory up 75% in Denver, debt-to-income ratios hitting 50% in New York City, and CoreLogic just flagged Phoenix and West Palm Beach with over 70% crash risk. This isn't clickbait. This is happening right now, and I have the data to prove it. Just like I called the last market shift when I showed you exactly how to profit from real estate chaos, I'm about to give you the complete roadmap for navigating this crash. Some cities are about to lose half their value while others are secretly setting up for massive gains. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to put your money to come out ahead while everyone else loses everything. The crash is real and it's happening faster than anyone expected. Mortgage rates are still hovering near 7%, which has completely stalled beer demand in major metropolitan areas across the country. But here's what the mainstream media isn't telling you. This isn't just about high interest rates anymore. CoreLogic's market risk indicator just released data that should terrify anyone holding real estate in the wrong markets. They've identified over 5 cities with a 70% or higher probability of experiencing a significant price crash in the next 18 months. That's not a correction, that's a collapse. The warning signs are everywhere if you know where to look. Beer demand has fallen off a cliff in markets that were red hot just 2 years ago. Sellers are sitting on properties for months longer than expected, and the smart money is quietly exiting these markets before the general public catches on. This isn't 2008, but it's rhyming hard. The fundamentals are different, but the outcome is going to be just as devastating for people who don't see it coming. The difference is this time you have advance warning, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. Let me break down the 10 cities that are collapsing right now, starting with the worst offenders. First up is Austin, Texas. This market went absolutely insane during the pandemic with tech workers flooding in and driving prices through the roof. The median home price jumped from $400,000 to over $600,000 in just 3 years. But now the tech layoffs have started, remote work policies are changing, and suddenly Austin doesn't look so attractive anymore. Inventory has increased by 68% year over year, and homes are sitting on the market for an average of 45 days longer than they were last year. The writing is on the wall. Denver, Colorado is next, and this one hits different because it's been such a stable market for so long. But stability doesn't matter when affordability completely breaks down. The average mortgage payment in Denver is now $3,600 per month. Let me repeat that, $3,600 per month for an average home. That's unsustainable for 90% of the population, and the market is starting to reflect that reality. New listings are up 75%, while pending sales are down 32%. That's a recipe for disaster. Phoenix, Arizona is where things get really scary. CoreLogic has this market flagged with their highest risk rating, and when you look at the numbers, you understand why. Home prices increased by over 100% in 5 years, but wages didn't keep pace. The price-to-income ratio is now completely out of whack, and with mortgage rates where they are, the monthly payments are pricing out entire generations of buyers. Add in the water shortage concerns and the extreme heat making the area less desirable, and you have a perfect storm brewing. Miami, Florida looked unstoppable for a while with all the wealthy transplants from New York and California, but that wave is crashing hard. The insurance crisis alone is enough to tank this market. Homeowners' insurance rates have tripled in some areas, and many insurers are simply refusing to write new policies. When you combine that with property taxes that keep climbing and a cost of living that's spiraling out of control, Miami is becoming unaffordable even for the wealthy buyers who drove the boom. Seattle, Washington is facing a tech recession that's hitting the housing market hard. Amazon, Microsoft, and other major employers have implemented hiring freezes and layoffs, which means the high-income buyers who supported the market are disappearing. Home prices are already down 15% from their peak, and that's just the beginning. The city's hostile business environment is driving companies away, and without those high-paying jobs, the housing market has no foundation. San Francisco, California has been declining for years, but the pace is accelerating. The work-from-home revolution destroyed the value proposition of paying millions to live in a tiny apartment just to be close to the office. Crime rates are up, quality of life is down, and even the tech elite are fleeing to places like Austin and Miami. Except now those markets are crashing too, which means there's nowhere left to run. Los Angeles, California is experiencing a similar exodus, but with the added pressure of new taxes and regulations that are making property ownership increasingly expensive. The mansion tax alone is driving high-end buyers away. And without that top-tier demand, the entire market is starting to soften. Inventory is building up in areas that haven't seen available homes in years. New York City is where the debt-to-income ratios are hitting 50%, which means buyers are stretching themselves to the absolute breaking point just to get into the market. That's not sustainable, and when these over-leveraged buyers start defaulting, the ripple effects will be massive. The city's population is still below pre-pandemic levels, and with remote work becoming permanent for many industries, the demand for expensive city living continues to decline. Portland, Oregon has the double whammy of political instability and economic uncertainty. The city's reputation has taken a massive hit, businesses are leaving, and property values are reflecting that reality. What used to be a desirable market for young professionals is now seen as a risky investment, and that perception is becoming reality. Finally, we have Las Vegas, Nevada, which is always one of the first markets to crash and one of the last to recover. The city's economy is still heavily dependent on tourism and entertainment, sectors that remain volatile in the post-pandemic world. Home prices shot up during the pandemic as people fled California, but now those same buyers are having second thoughts as the novelty wears off and the reality of living in the desert sets in. These 10 cities represent millions of homeowners who are about to see their property values decline significantly. But here's the thing, while these markets are collapsing, other markets are quietly setting up for massive growth. Smart money doesn't just avoid the losers, it finds the winners before everyone else catches on. And I've identified 3 cities where you should be buying right now while prices are still reasonable and before the crowd discovers them. Des Moines, Iowa might not sound exciting, but that's exactly why it's perfect. This market has steady growth without the volatility that destroys wealth. The job market is diverse and stable, with major employers in insurance, finance, and agriculture that aren't going anywhere. Home prices are still affordable, with a median price around $200,000, and the price-to-income ratio is healthy. Most importantly, there's no speculative bubble here, which means no crash is coming. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is massively undervalued and starting to attract attention from investors who understand value. The city has successfully transitioned from its industrial past to a knowledge-based economy centered around healthcare, education, and technology. Carnegie Mellon and the University of Pittsburgh are driving innovation and attracting young talent. But home prices haven't caught up to the economic transformation. You can still buy properties with strong rental yields in neighborhoods that are gentrifying rapidly. Huntsville, Alabama is my top pick for explosive growth over the next 5 years. This city has quietly become a major tech hub with NASA, the Army's Redstone Arsenal, and dozens of defense contractors creating high-paying jobs. The population is growing rapidly, but housing supply hasn't kept pace, which means prices are going to rise significantly. The cost of living is still low, the job market is booming, and the quality of life is excellent. This is where smart money is moving right now. These 3 markets have everything you want to see: job growth, population growth, affordable housing, and strong fundamentals. They're not sexy, they're not getting headlines, and that's exactly why they're perfect opportunities. So what happens next? If interest rates drop, these stable markets will be the first to rebound and experience significant appreciation. The money fleeing the collapsing markets has to go somewhere, and it's going to flow to places with strong fundamentals and reasonable valuations. Meanwhile, the 10 cities I mentioned earlier are going to continue their decline until affordability is restored. That could mean price drops of 30 to 50% in some areas, which will take years to recover from. The key is positioning yourself ahead of these trends instead of reacting to them after they've already happened. The crash in overvalued markets is just beginning, but the opportunity in undervalued markets is happening right now. Denver's $3,600 average mortgage payment is completely unsustainable for the vast majority of buyers. When reality sets in and prices adjust to what people can actually afford, the correction is going to be swift and brutal. But markets like Des Moines, Pittsburgh, and Huntsville are going to benefit from that capital flight. Here's my prediction for what happens over the next 2 years. The overvalued markets continue to decline as inventory builds up and sellers are forced to accept reality. Interest rates may come down slightly, but not enough to restore affordability in the most expensive markets. Meanwhile, the undervalued markets I've identified will see steady appreciation as investors and owner-occupants discover them. The smart play is to avoid the obvious disasters and get positioned in the hidden gems before everyone else figures it out. Real estate fortunes are made by buying when others are selling and selling when others are buying. Right now, everyone is selling in the stable markets and buying in the bubble markets. Do the opposite. Is your city on this list? Drop your zip code in the comments and I'll reply with a custom risk score based on the latest data. I'm tracking over 50 markets across the country and I can tell you exactly where your local market stands. And if you want to know which 5 cities are going to explode in value by 2026, make sure you're subscribed because that video is coming next week. I'm going to reveal the markets that are setting up for massive gains while everyone else is focused on the crash. The housing market is entering a new phase, and the next 2 years are going to separate the winners from the losers. Make sure you're on the right side of this trade.